Welcome to our channel, Book by Book.
Today we're doing a really critical summary of a guide that feels more essential than ever. It's Dopamine Detox, a short and simple guide to finding clarity, focus, and productivity by Thibaut Meurisse.
And if you're listening to this, I'm pretty sure you already know the problem we're talking about. It's that
Right.
feeling, the one where your attention just seems to be slipping away all the time.
Mhm.
You open your phone, just for a second, and then poof, an hour is just gone,
Yeah.
sucked into this black hole of scrolling and notifications.
Right. And it's not just about losing time, is it? It's about this sense that our brains are, well, they're being actively rewired. Rewired by these forces that are just built to exploit our need for instant gratification.
That's it. And Maurice really zeroes in on this strange paradox of modern life. You feel like you're doing more than ever.
Oh, absolutely. Constantly busy.
Answering emails, checking alerts, jumping between a dozen tabs. But at the end of the week, you feel scattered, you feel unfulfilled, and you're left asking yourself, what did I actually finish? What was the meaningful work?
Exactly. And that's where this book comes in, Dopamine Detox. It's this incredibly practical, timely blueprint. It's not some abstract philosophy.
No, it's a manual for how to just pause that cycle, take a look at what's really draining you, and then consciously rebuild your ability to focus, to really concentrate.
So our mission with this summary is to distill all of that for you. We're going to give you the clearest possible path. We'll walk you through the book's main idea. It's 6 major lessons, and then break down the most powerful, actionable things you can do.
The goal here is to give you a guide, a way out of that constant reactive state of distraction and, back toward clarity, focus, and real productivity.
That's going to do it.
Okay, so let's start with the central thesis. Because it sounds simple, but understanding the why behind it is, well, it's everything.
It really is. Marissa's core argument is this. When you intentionally and, systematically reduce these high-stimulus distractions.
The things he calls dopamine triggers.
Exactly. When you reduce those, you're not just punishing yourself, you're actually creating the neurological space you need to get back in control, to rebuild your focus and point your energy toward things that actually matter.
That point about control is so important because it's really easy to feel like this is all a personal failing,
Yeah.
a lack of willpower.
Oh, for sure. But Maurice insists that the context here is critical. We are living in a world that is literally engineered to keep us hooked.
Engineered is the right word.
Every app, every notification, every feed, they're all designed by brilliant people to leverage our built-in desire for novelty and instant rewards.
Yeah.
So the detox isn't really a cure for your bad habits. It's more like a necessary defense system.
A defense against what? A system of brain hijacking?
That's a great way to put it. We're fighting against multi-billion-dollar industries whose entire business model is capturing our attention. So to fight back, you have to understand the weapon, the mechanism.
Which brings us to lesson 1. Understanding dopamine and stimulation. I think most people, myself included, kind of grew up thinking of dopamine as the pleasure chemical.
Right, that rush you get when you get a reward.
Yeah, but the book offers a much deeper, more accurate take on it, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, and this is probably the most crucial insight in the entire book. Dopamine isn't mainly about the reward itself. It's the chemical that drives reward anticipation.
Okay, so anticipation, not the pleasure.
It's the seeking, the motivation. Think of it as the chemical version of curiosity and drive. Historically, this was essential for our survival, right?
Hmm.
If early humans didn't get that dopamine push to seek out food or investigate a noise or find better shelter, they wouldn't have made it. It drove us to explore.
So it's the seeking chemical. How then do our phones and apps exploit that ancient wiring?
By giving us what Meurisse calls cheap novelty. Think about the difference between a complex goal, like, say, learning a new language.
Which takes forever, and the reward is way down the line.
Exactly. Compare that to hitting refresh on your social media feed. That refresh button gives you an instant, zero-effort, unpredictable dose of novelty. A notification chime creates anticipation. Ooh, who messaged me? The next video in the queue promises another quick hit. They're all micro-triggers.
Designed to keep that seeking system firing on all cylinders.
But without delivering any real, meaningful reward. And when we constantly give in to those little micro hits, there's a serious neurological consequence. This is where he talks about the baseline.
Yes, the baseline. This feels like the core of the problem.
It is, because all those constant microdopamine hits start to raise your brain's baseline level of stimulation. Your brain adapts. So it basically says, okay, I guess this high frequency, intense signaling is the new normal.
So over time, you start needing more and more of that stimulation just to feel normal, to
Yeah.
feel engaged.
Precisely. And if that baseline is artificially high from all that digital noise, what happens when you have to do actual important work?
It starts to feel boring, unbearably boring.
That's it. It feels overwhelmingly dull. If your brain is used to the fireworks of a TikTok feed or the instant gratification of Slack pings, then a difficult task like, I don't know, reading a dense report or writing a proposal,
Yeah.
it just doesn't offer that same immediate rush.
So your brain reads it as a low reward activity.
And that right there is the root of procrastination. It's not laziness. It's that the standard for what feels exciting or rewarding has been completely distorted.
That really reframes the whole procrastination thing. It's not a moral failing. We're just fighting a chemically inflated expectation of reward.
We are. And Meurisse has this perfect everyday example. Checking your phone first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Right? So many of us are. But if you start your day by scrolling social media or news alerts, you've already fired up that high anticipation dopamine system before you've even had a chance to set your own intention for the day. You've spiked your baseline from minute one.
And the rest of the day is an uphill battle to find motivation for the quiet, important stuff.
Exactly. The analogy he uses with headphone volume, it just nails this concept.
Yeah, that one really stuck with me.
It's just so clear. Imagine you're trying to listen to a very important, quiet conversation. That's your deep, focused work. But you've been listening to super loud music in your headphones all day. That's the high-stimulus digital world.
So you've trained your ears to need that high volume.
Right. So when you finally take the headphones off, that quiet, necessary conversation, it's just inaudible. It's background noise. Your brain has adapted to the loud music, and the important but quiet signals just don't register anymore.
Wow. So the big takeaway here is that we have to recognize this mechanism is at play. Otherwise, we're just treating the symptoms. We're buying a new planner or downloading another productivity app.
Exactly. We're trying to fix a hardware problem, an overstimulated brain, with a software solution. It just won't work. If the brain is hooked on cheap rewards, no amount of organization is going to make a difficult task feel rewarding until you lower that baseline.
Which flows perfectly into lesson 2,
Yeah.
recognizing the symptoms of overstimulation. Because, like you said, it's sneaky. It often disguises itself as being productive.
Totally. When you hear dopamine detox, you might think, oh, that's not for me. I don't play video games all day. But the symptoms are much more subtle and, frankly, integrated into our professional lives.
What does that look like in practice?
It looks like a kind of chronic restlessness. The inability to stay with a single document for more than a few minutes, that habitual tab switching, constantly jumping between your email, your team chat, your spreadsheets.
And always looking for that external validation, checking the metrics, checking for likes, looking for that instant reply that says, good job.
Yes, you're perpetually on, just reacting to every little cue from the outside world.
And the feeling it produces. I think the key feeling is being busy but ineffective. You end the day completely mentally fried from all that context switching.
So tired.
But when you actually look at what you accomplished, the big, complex tasks are still sitting there, untouched. You were active, but you weren't productive.
And that's because of the huge cognitive cost to switching tasks. Every single time you switch from something deep, like writing, to something shallow, like checking an email, your brain has to completely reorient itself.
And there's a hangover effect, right? Even when you switch back, part of your attention is still on the email.
It's called attention residue. And Meurisse points out that all that toggling, all that clicking, each switch provides a little burst of novelty, a tiny dopamine hit, which is precisely what prevents you from achieving that deep, sustained focus. You're paying an attention tax all day long.
So that person who's so proud of their multitasking, checking email every 5 minutes, refreshing the chat, drafting a presentation all at once, they feel productive because they're always moving.
But in reality, they're just maximizing their switching costs and minimizing their time in a state of flow. The analogy Meurisse uses here is like trying to read a really complex book while a loud, bright TV is flashing in the corner of your eye. You can tell yourself you're focused on the book, but those flashes are constantly pulling your attention away. You end up reading the same page 3 times and absorbing nothing.
That is a powerful diagnosis. The conclusion here feels pretty stark. The solution isn't to add more. It's not another tool or another app.
No, the solution is less noise. Just
Reading
as it
less.
says. We have to stop trying to read the book while the TV is on.
We have to intentionally turn the volume down.
Exactly. Give the brain a chance to actually settle down and process something complex without looking for a brighter, shinier reward every 30 seconds.
Okay, Diagnosis complete. I think we all feel sufficiently called out. So let's move to the cure. Section 2 is the blueprint. Lesson 3 lays out the actual detox plan. This is where it gets practical.
This is the how-to. And Meurisse is smart about this. He knows it can feel like a huge, overwhelming task, so he breaks it down into a tiered blueprint.
And the goal is pretty simple, right?
The goal is just to create a temporary period of, let's call it intentional deprivation, so your brain's expectation for high stimulus rewards can drop back to normal. It's not about being perfect forever, it's about a reset.
So let's talk about those tiers. What's the most intense option he lays out?
That would be the full detox. This is a committed 24 or maybe 48 hours where you temporarily cut out all the major high stimulus stuff.
So no social media, no streaming, no mindless internet browsing.
Zero. And importantly, he often includes chemical stimulation in this too. So cutting out junk food, tons of sugar, maybe even high doses of caffeine, because the brain reads those chemical spikes as cheap rewards too.
Okay, that sounds difficult. What should someone expect if they try a full 24-hour detox? What's the pushback going to feel like?
You should expect major mental resistance. I mean, extreme restlessness, maybe some irritability, and just this pervasive sense of boredom. Your brain is going to throw a tantrum. It's going to demand its usual fix.
And that's a good sign.
That's the sign it's working. Meurisse says you should see that resistance as proof that you're confronting the true depth of your dependency on all that external stimulus. It's the withdrawal phase.
Okay. But for people who can't just unplug for a whole day, maybe their job requires them to be online, he offers a less extreme version, the partial detox.
Yes, and the partial detox is much more manageable for most people, and it's sustainable. Here, you just pick your single biggest kryptonite, your most disruptive high-stimulus habit.
So if Instagram is your personal black hole, you delete just that one app for a week.
Exactly. Or if you waste 4 hours every night streaming shows, you restrict yourself to just one scheduled hour. The idea is targeted. Conscious restriction. You're aiming to lower the baseline where it's highest.
But the most important piece of this whole plan, I think, is what you do instead. He calls it the replacement principle. Without that, it's just misery.
It's the absolute key. It's the difference between self-punishment and self-improvement. You have to actively replace the high-stimulus activities with low-stimulus, meaningful ones.
Like what? What are some examples?
This is where you reintroduce things like going for a long walk without your phone, working on that side project you've been putting off, reading a physical book, or even just sitting down with a pen and paper to solve a complex problem.
These are things that are challenging, but the reward is intrinsic. It comes from the activity itself.
Yes, it builds fulfillment and mastery, not just cheap anticipation. And that's the whole point of the detox, really. It's not just to feel better for a day. It's to remind your brain that these quiet, low-stimulus activities can be rewarding again.
It recalibrates your sense of what's worthwhile.
It does. Once the noise floor drops, you can actually hear the quiet rewards again. This is why the computer reboot analogy he uses is so perfect.
Walk us through that one again.
Think of your overstimulated brain as a computer that's just slow and laggy because you have 100 programs running in the background.
Okay.
You don't try to speed it up by opening more stuff. You shut down all the non-essential programs, you clear the cache, and you restart it. The detox is that shut down and restart. It clears out all the background noise, the notifications, the micro habits. So the main programs like deep focus and creativity can run smoothly again.
So the detox sets the foundation. You have to reduce the distraction first, which brings us to a really important point in Lesson 4. Willpower is not enough.
Oh, this is such a powerful insight. It takes the moral judgment out of it. If you are just relying on raw willpower to resist temptation, you will eventually fail.
Because willpower is a finite resource. It runs out.
It's like a muscle. It gets tired. So Meurisse completely shifts the focus. He says, your environment is the software of your behavior. Update the settings. Don't fight your urges. Design an environment where the urges are weaker.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we add what he calls friction for distractions? What are some practical steps?
You have to make the distractions require actual effort. It's not enough to put your phone on silent. You need physical separation. If you need 2 hours of deep work, put the phone in another room. Lock it in a drawer.
I've heard of people using timed lock boxes for their phones.
That's a great example of high friction. Or delete the most addictive app from your phone. Don't just hide it in a folder, delete it. That way, if you want that quick hit, you have to go all the way to the App Store, find it, and re-download it. That extra step breaks the mindless habit loop.
I know so many people who say they want to watch less Netflix, but the remote is just sitting right there on the coffee table. The friction is zero.
Exactly. And Meurisse also suggests making the digital environment less appealing. A really powerful tip is to switch your phone screen to grayscale mode.
Oh, I've tried that. It's surprisingly effective.
It really is. All those vibrant, colorful icons suddenly become dull and utilitarian. Social media feeds lose all their appeal. The digital world becomes a tool again, not a theme park.
So we add friction to bad habits. And conversely, we have to make good habits frictionless. We have to introduce ease for focus.
Absolutely. The environment has to work for you, not against you. If you want to read more, don't keep your books on a dusty shelf. Put the book you want to read next right on your nightstand or your desk.
Make it the easiest choice.
Make it the default. If you need certain documents for a project, have them open and ready to go before you start. Schedule your deep work blocks in your calendar and treat them like you'd treat a meeting with your boss. Unbreakable.
The cookie jar analogy he uses really sums this all up.
It's so simple and so true. If you put a bowl of apples right on the kitchen counter, that's the frictionless, healthy choice. And you put the cookies in a sealed tin on the highest shelf in the pantry.
The high-friction, unhealthy choice.
You're going to eat a lot more apples.
Mm-hmm.
Not because you suddenly have more willpower, but because you've designed your environment to favor the better choice. It requires a conscious, deliberate effort to go get the cookies.
So the big idea from this section is that the struggle for focus is often a design problem, not a moral one. If you fix your environment, you don't have to rely on that constant, draining self-discipline.
You free up all that willpower for the actual hard work. You're designing your success instead of just gritting your teeth and hoping for it.
So we've detoxed, we've redesigned our environment, the ground is clear. Now what? Now we get to lesson 5, which is all about building high-quality focus and the actual practice of deep work.
Right, because the detox isn't the end goal. It's just the starting line. The whole point of reclaiming all that time and attention is to direct it toward creating real, measurable value.
And Meurisse really hammers this point home. The ability to do deep work is the superpower of the 21st century.
It really is. And he defines deep work as these long, uninterrupted blocks of time spent on a cognitively demanding task, something that pushes your skills. And that only becomes possible when your stimulation baseline is low.
When you're not constantly reacting to every ping and notification.
Exactly. When you stop reacting, your brain can finally just sit and think. It can hold multiple complex ideas in its working memory at the same time, long enough to see the connections and solve a hard problem.
Which is something you can't do if you're constantly dumping your working memory to check an alert.
You can't. And what's really fascinating is how he connects this to the idea of the compound focus model.
Right, the idea that the returns aren't just linear.
Not at all. The compound focus model argues that consistent, focused effort yields exponential gains over time. If you work in short, distracted bursts, your output might increase a little bit, incrementally. But if you dedicate, say, 2 true, deep work hours a day to a single project,
The quality of your work and the speed of your learning just skyrockets.
it accelerates dramatically. You're building better neural pathways. You're producing work that's much harder for a distracted person to replicate.
Okay, but let's be practical. For someone who is used to constant switching, the idea of a 60 or 90-minute block of deep work sounds terrifying.
It does. It can feel really intimidating. The key is to start small, but be absolutely ruthless about protecting that time. Meurisse suggests scheduling maybe 2 60-minute blocks a day. One first thing in the morning, one after lunch.
And during that block, the rules are absolute.
No compromises. All communication channels are off. Turn off the Wi-Fi if you can. And you work on one single, clearly defined goal for that block.
No background music with lyrics, no, I'll just quickly look this up online.
Total immersion. And the first few times you do it, it will feel uncomfortable. Your brain will scream at you to switch tasks, to check something, to get up. You just have to notice that urge, acknowledge it, and then gently bring your focus back.
It's like a muscle you have to retrain.
It's exactly like that. And after a few weeks, that concentration muscle gets stronger. You'll find the 60 minutes starts to feel easier, and the quality of what you produce in that time is just off the charts. You go from frantic activity to calm, focused creation.
It reminds me of that plant analogy. You can water a plant a tiny bit every hour, and you just get the topsoil wet. Or you can give it a deep, intentional watering once, and that's what allows the roots to actually grow and flourish.
That's a perfect way to put it. Meurisse's whole point is that focus is now a rare and valuable skill. Distraction is the default. It's free, and it's everywhere. If you can train your attention, you have a massive advantage. You stop being reactive, and you become the architect of your day.
Okay, but let's be real. People do the detox, they feel amazing for a week, and then life happens. They slip back. This makes lesson 6 maybe the most important one for long-term change, maintenance.
It's the absolute truth. A weekend detox is like going on a diet for 2 days. Sure, you might feel a bit better, but without sustainable systems in place, you'll be right back where you started.
Murray says the detox is just the beginning. The journey is ongoing.
Yes. And maintenance is all about systems, not just motivation. You have to consciously design your weeks and months to favor focus. You have to be intentional about what he calls digital hygiene.
Okay, so what are some of those specific systems he recommends for keeping that baseline low after the detox is over?
One of the big ones is a monthly digital hygiene day. This isn't another full detox. It's more like a structural check-in.
Like cleaning out the garage.
Exactly. You use this day to look at your phone usage reports. You uninstall apps you haven't used in a month. You deliberately reorganize your home screen to remove temptations. You're auditing your environment to make sure the clutter hasn't crept back in.
So you're treating your digital space the same way you treat your physical space. It needs regular upkeep.
It has to, because the world is constantly pushing new stimulus at you. If you're not actively maintaining your defenses, the clutter will return. Another huge tactic is protecting your evenings.
The digital sunset.
The digital sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at 8 or 9 p.m., all non-essential screens go off. This is so important because it stops your brain from spiking its stimulation baseline right before bed, which dramatically improves your sleep quality.
And a good night's sleep sets you up for a focused next day.
It's the foundation.
Hmm.
And then there's the other bookend of the day, the morning ritual, starting your day as the architect, not as a reactor.
That low-stimulus morning routine.
It sets the tone for everything. Just commit to 30 minutes phone-free when you wake up. Use that time to plan your top 3 tasks for the day, to journal, to just think. If the first thing you do is let the outside world in via your phone, you've already lost control of your day.
You're starting on the back foot.
By prioritizing that quiet, intentional time, you're reinforcing the value of low-stimulus activity right from the start.
So the big idea in Lesson 6 is that this intentionality is what turns a one-time fix into a permanent lifestyle. You manage the system, and the system manages your focus.
And this is important, you have to have self-compassion. Meurisse is very clear. You will slip up. You'll find yourself scrolling. You'll watch one more episode. The point isn't to be a perfect robot. It's about noticing the slip-up quickly, learning from it, and getting right back to your system without any shame.
Okay, this has been an incredibly detailed breakdown of dopamine detox. Before we get to the final action plan, let's just quickly review the core concepts Meurisse weaves together.
Sounds good. We started with that fundamental link between our ancient dopamine system, the driver of anticipation, and the modern attention economy, which is built to exploit it with cheap novelty.
Which leads directly to that idea of the stimulus baseline. Constant digital rewards raise what our brain considers normal, which makes quiet, deep work feel impossibly boring.
And to combat that, he gives us the scalable detox tiers, the big, full detox reset, the targeted partial detox, and those daily micro-detoxes like protected mornings.
All of which has to be supported by smart environment design, adding friction to distractions like grayscale mode and making valuable work easy, the default choice.
And the ultimate goal of all of this is to apply the compound focus model, where that consistent deep work leads to exponential, not linear results. And the quote you mentioned earlier really sums it all up.
Reducing high stimulus habits doesn't make life boring. It restores life's texture.
That's the one. It restores life's texture. That's the ability to get lost in a good book again, or have a conversation without checking your phone, or feel that quiet satisfaction of solving a really hard problem.
Deep fulfillment over fleeting stimulation.
Okay, now for the most important part. We want you to stop just reacting and start designing. We've distilled the book into a 10-point action plan. Please just pick 1 or 2 of these to start with. Start today.
All right, number 1, take 5 minutes right now. List your top 3 digital distractions. Which single one, social media, news alerts, a specific game, is the biggest black hole for your time? Target that one first.
Number 2, schedule 1 protected detox period this week. It could be just Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. No digital inputs. Replace it with walking, cooking, reading a physical book, or working on a passion project.
Number 3, apply friction right now. Delete the single worst, most mindless app from your phone. Don't just move it to another screen, delete it. Make it hard to get back.
Number 4, create a physical phone-free zone. The bedroom is a great one, so is the dining table. Make it a sacred space, free from digital distraction.
Number 5, start your low stimulus morning ritual tomorrow, just 15 minutes. Journaling, planning your day, whatever, but absolutely no phone for the first 30 minutes you're awake. Protect that quiet time.
Number 6, schedule one 90-minute deep focus block in your calendar for tomorrow. Treat it like a meeting, timer on, notifications off, and work on one specific outcome.
Number 7, set a recurring digital hygiene review day, maybe the first Sunday of every month. This is your time to clean up your digital clutter, review your usage, and reset your environment.
Number 8, add more physical friction. Put your phone in a different room when you work. Unplug the TV when you're not watching it. And seriously, try grayscale mode on your phone for a day. See how it feels.
Number 9, start tracking your focus. Just a simple 1 to 10 scale each morning. If you see it drop below a 6 for 3 days in a row, that's your signal to initiate a mini detox, like no social media after dinner.
And number 10, consciously choose low stimulus leisure. Make time for reading physical books, having long conversations, or pursuing a hobby that doesn't involve a screen. Remind your brain that meaning doesn't need flashing lights.
The ultimate message from Dopamine Detox is just so empowering. Distractions are cheap, and they are everywhere, but your attention.
Yeah.
Your attention is the most valuable resource you have. This isn't about making your life smaller. It's about freedom.
The freedom to think your own thoughts, the freedom to create things of value, the freedom to connect with people authentically, and ultimately the freedom to master your own inner world.
That inner mastery really is the goal.
It is. And it leaves you with a really provocative question to think about. If you actually manage to stop reacting to every single external cue, every ping, every alert, every notification for one whole day,
Right.
what ignored idea, what deep motivation, what difficult but necessary thought would finally have the space it needs to come into focus?
That's a powerful thought to end on. We really hope this summary helped you feel more in control of your attention. To ensure you don't miss out on more helpful book summaries like this, please remember to subscribe to our channel book by book, share this deep dive with others who need clarity, and hit that like button. Your support motivates us to keep bringing you the best book summaries.